Kaotic Radio, because the rest is just a waste of time.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It must be Tuesday night, and I'm not talking tacos. Welcome, race fans, to the fastest show on the internet. If it has a motor and goes fast, you know we're going to talk about it. Tonight, my old friend and colleague, J.R. Ybarra of kartracertv. How you doing, buddy?
Chap in the house. It's great to be here to fill up this hour worth of motorsports action here at Kaotic.
Oh, you're sounding good as always. And my good buddy, John Whitlow, no stranger behind the mic and no stranger behind the steering wheel. John Whitlow with Double Nickel Racing out of Canyon Lake, my neighbor.
I'm so glad to be here for my first live broadcast. It's going to be a great night. Racing, we're talking everything tonight. Everything from Daytona, karting, racing, dirt. We got it all.
Oh, he's fired up. He's done his homework. He actually had to work a real job today, I believe. But a lot to talk about, folks. And JR actually pulling some strings, and no stranger to the world of motorsports. As we before we get into Daytona and NASCAR, that was the big weekend. Everybody was at the Daytona parties over the weekend. But Scott Daloisio, the voice of Paris, and you lined him up. Yeah. We've had some big-time announcers on this show, but I'm happy to have Scott on. I've met him before. I would look forward to working for him in the future. But if you ever go to Paris, that's the man behind the mic.
He's the voice of the past, and he'll join us at about the 6:30, bottom of the hour, if you will. And we're looking forward to having a chat with him to talk about the season opener for Paris Auto Speedway this coming Saturday night.
You sound great. I already mentioned that. Tell us what's going on with Kart Racer TV. Obviously, all the Kart Racer people voicing their displeasure, but I still work for them. So I love Musgrave and Baldosia, but they let you go. We did the Kart Racer TV. Everybody needs to know. So I've already told them I was going to make this announcement, but there's no hard feelings. It's a business decision. Hey, they fired me too a couple of years ago.
I mean, you know how it goes.
You'll be back.
You know how broadcasting goes. You know how motorsports goes. Things change. Things evolve. We were with the Los Angeles Karting Championship for about 5 years doing video production, doing live streaming over the last 3 years. And Chappy, you and I had a great time of doing that over the last 3 years. Things changed. They decided not to renew our contract, if you will, for this coming season, which is no hard feelings. I still love the karting community. I still love LAKC. There's nothing, rift between the two of us. It's just one of those things that's a business decision. And unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to really say a nice farewell and goodbye to our kart racing friends, but that's kind of the case. So for those of you karters out there who might be listening, who were part of the LAKC scene, LAKC Live, we thank you for the 5 years that we had, because it was a great time in broadcasting those races. And it's great to see a lot of those up-and-coming youngsters who are racing at that level. Somewhere down the road, they're going to wind up in the big leagues. And we see already a few names that I think they're going to do that for sure.
Oh, yeah, and we talk about that all the time. I'm sure John used to be in kart racing as well, back with Andy Seisman and the Full Throttle Karting guys. They just finished off with Challenge of the Americas. And a real quick shout-out to last week's guest, Christian Hollywood Brooks, with a little chaotic karma. Not that he needed it, but pulled off the sweep. You can also catch Christian, as we talked about last week, on the GRC Lights, signed in with the championship team from last year, Dreyer and Reinbold. So John Whitlow, no stranger to behind the wheel and the microphone as well. Tell everybody about yourself a little bit.
We've been racing for a handful of years, but all of our stuff is off-road now. But I got my start in karting, running with Andy Seisman at the deal back on running the internationals. And I'll tell you what, we sure enjoy kart racing, man. It's an amazing sport. It is so much fun, and you're so close to the ground, elbow to elbow, and it's just amazing. The first couple times you go down the straightaway and you go into a turn 3 wide in a kart open wheel, man, I tell you, it makes your blood boil. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
great time though. But my problem is I had a really bad accident, and with age comes a cage. And I'm busting 60 here, so I'm staying off road where I got a cage around me.
Now, you guys have a lot of fun out there, and tell the people a little bit about what you do. And it's affordable overall. There's a lot of different classes. You don't have to go run with the big boys like Baldwin or the Andersons, or you can run a pretty low budget as far as racing hobbies go. Not, if there is a cheap racing hobby.
Yeah, well, there you
Your wife is sitting right here.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, thank God.
She knows
Kim Whitlow in the house.
She knows where
Kenny
the bank
Lake.
account goes.
Yeah,
to.
but the nice part about it is, though, is how many guys can say they sit in a car and have their wife tell them where to go all day long. She's an amazing co-driver. She sits side seat with me, and she knows how to read the GPS. She knows the course. She rides motorcycles. She does it all. So, so she's an amazing
Nice.
co-driver.
She's a keeper.
I thought you were talking about Kenny.
Yeah, well, Kenny's too.
Kenny, you're listening, right? Okay.
Yeah,
that was
Kenny's
just a
actually
joke.
on-
He actually had a fill-in co-driver last race. He was supposed to be here today.
Yeah,
but
I did.
Also a great guy. If you need your pool sparkling clean,
Yeah.
there's a cheap plug for
Just
Kenny.
stand up.
We love you, man.
Out of Tustin. Yeah,
I'm
Kenny.
just looking for those boat rides this
Yeah.
this summer at Canyon
You're
Lake with
gonna
my
get 'em,
daughters.
so, yeah.
So, but good. That's cool. And you guys had a race to open the season. Tell us a little bit about that up there at State Line.
Yeah, we're up at State Line. It's called Battle at Brim by the Southern Nevada Off-Road Racing. And it's one of the most popular races out there because it's all around the casinos, and it's a short format, and it's all running heats. So you're running with vehicles that are very similar to your capabilities and your speeds. And as far as the class we race, it's called a Class 9 car. It's a Volkswagen base, stock Volkswagen engine, stock tranny, stock front end, and you can run any amount of different types of frames or chassis that you want. But it's very, very affordable. The entry fees are not that bad. It's about $1,000 a weekend for us to race, and the prep on the car is nothing. And BJ Baldwin, every time that he wants to do a prep on his truck, he's looking $8,000-$10,000. My car's worth $3,000. I ain't got that kind of money. So yeah, but we have a real good time. We do all of our own wrenching ourselves. We have friends and family, and actually, Double Nickel Racing, our little tag is, we're not a race team, we're a family, because everybody that races with us, we are all intertwined and we're all family together.
That's what I love about off-roading. It's been a while since I've been to an off-road race, but I know being out in the desert and seeing, all the different teams, and as you said, John, the whole gamut of a low-dollar team, a low-dollar family team such as you guys, all the way up to see the terrible Hertz team that spends tens of millions of dollars probably on what they do, having chase helicopters,
Yes.
Yes. Through the desert. It's amazing to see, but it's great to see that all blends together as one racing family. That's
Yeah, it
pretty
does.
cool.
And it's really nice because when we were racing the 7S truck about 6 or 8 years ago, we needed some parts for the truck. And there was this big, huge semi park next to us, and it said Locations Racing's on the side of it, big old palm trees. And it was like, oh my God, this guy's got to have parts. So we met this gentleman named Danny Ferrer. And from that moment forward, Danny opened the door to his semi for us for every single race. And now Danny comes to the races with us almost every single time and brings all of his friends, all of his technology,
Nice.
all of his bits. I mean, he's got a full
awesome.
machine shop in his truck. So for a budget racer like myself, it's awesome. But the camaraderie that we get after racing year after year after year, I mean, you walk up and down the rows, and everyone's, hey, John, oh my God, Double Nickel's in the house. How you guys doing? Stuff like that. I mean, it beats you right here. And our competitors will give us parts out of their trailers to keep us on the track because you don't want to go race by yourself.
Right.
You want to race with everybody else. So if you can get your competitor on the course with you and beat him fair and square, that's what we do.
Nice. I love hearing that about motorsports.
The racing family. I originally heard it, my true love, NHRA. And then I actually met John before racing through 15 years of hardcore competitive slalom and barefoot skiing on a national and world competitive level.
Not that
Not
you're
sure.
spouting your own.
Not sure how many
Yeah.
people from Canyon Lake are actually listening, but yeah, I dominated INT League. Where's Cheryl Detmer? She has my back.
Cheryl Dittmer, I have it forever.
But it's the family that you meet at the track. It doesn't
Right.
matter, I think, if it's drag race, karting, off-road. I think it's that barbecuing, the camaraderie, and, of course, the competition. So, I mean, I think you covered it all right there. You guys ready to talk a little Daytona?
Let's talk Daytona.
Let's get into it, man. It was a big
Daytona.
weekend. Everybody go good parties.
Wait, is-
Where'd you watch it?
Is this a segment?
Let's do it. We're going into a
We're
new
going-
segment.
we're going
This is
into a
segment
segment.
And
one.
now you're going to steal my
Segment
jokes.
one.
Of
There we
Daytona.
go.
Man, he's
Segment
stealing the
one.
host's pre-production
Remember,
jokes.
there's a
Never let your
caution at
joke
the
out
end
of the
of
bag.
this.
We'll be stopping the show right now. Mike's not even there. He doesn't even know the new
Engineer
segment
has
rule.
disappeared. Oh, this looks great.
I spent half the race explaining to a 63-year-old mother-in-law of somebody, a beloved family member at the party I was at, what these segments were, and she was not having it. She's like, no, you dropped the green and you race to the checkered flag. So let's talk about that first. I mean, beautiful weather after some rain.
It is not. I know I'm going to get criticism for this, but I like the segments.
JR's
like
going
the
segment.
segments.
You're going to take counterpoint on it.
I'm counterpoint on it.
Yeah,
I figure you drop a green flag, you drop a checkered flag. There's a couple yellows in between. It's because someone hit a wall. Red flag if it's dangerous, but you don't do that.
JR started with the pros of the segments.
Here's what, and I guess I'm thinking from a standpoint of the big picture. Okay, the big picture is NASCAR needs a lot more eyeballs on the TV set and in the grandstands because they've been losing big time.
Yes, they have.
And I've heard and I've read different sports writers, automotive writers say that this is a crucial year for NASCAR because they have lost such a big market share in comparison to other motorsports. I think their thinking is that by creating these segments, you're going to have drivers going for it very early in the race. There's going to be a lot of heated competition early in the race. And there's not going to be this single file drop back and follow the leader type setup that you normally see at Daytona, which really wasn't the case. There was a lot of racing. Unfortunately, that bred a lot of accidents, though.
Yeah,
that was the downside.
Because as you got close to the end of each section right there, the problem was that everybody was dicing to get in that top 10 spot.
Yeah.
I mean, so it did. I mean, it increased the amount of racing and everybody bouncing side to side. Oh, it was just
and
amazing.
I think from that standpoint, it was quote unquote successful. Everybody was on the wheel. Everybody was going for it in that first and second segment. They knew they had something at stake because there's valuable points now at stake.
Yes.
So now those segments do become crucial for the championship contention. I understand the confusion though. It is confusing. Like you're saying, Chappy, if you're trying to explain this to an everyday grandma and think that what the heck's going on?
I was getting so frustrated I couldn't get my point across, and there wasn't enough tequila at the open bar. I was really frustrated, and somebody had eaten all the cheese dip, and I still was not making any leeway with this lady. She was like, "No, you just go green and race to the checkered. What's these segments?"
Overall, I'm going to say it's okay. We're going to see what happens at Atlanta this weekend to see how it all shakes out. I'm thinking, like, especially when they come to Fontana here in the next few weeks, it's going to make that racing a little bit better because unfortunately with Fontana, I think the first two segments are boring at Fontana. When you get to the last 50 laps, it does become exciting because everybody gets up on the wheel. And I think by segmenting it, you're going to have a lot better racing.
Well, and real quick, guys, there's no problem with getting people to watch the Daytona 500 to get butts in the seats. They had 101,000 plus people there, and that's after being cut down several years ago. That place originally held 168. That's just seats, paid seats.
Right.
I'm not even counting infield and the standing room only. And then they cut it down from 168 to 140,000. So now we're at that's of the lean years of people not going to even Daytona.
Yeah.
So Daytona is now such a big event like Indy 500 and the Kentucky Derby. You're having no problem there. But I agree with you. What's going to happen in Atlanta? Are we going to get more viewers for that? Are we going to? Is Atlanta going to sell out? Southern California has trouble selling out any event they have there, and it's a beautiful facility. I never understand why they can't do it, but the last exciting race they had there was Indy cars, and they took away the Indy cars.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's unfortunate about Southern California is just we've seen so many tracks come and go over the last 30, 40 years.
Yes.
And racing fans just become kind of fair weather fans, unfortunately, here in Southern California.
You're going to have your hardcores. They're going to be there.
Yeah, well, the thing of it is, though, there's so many people that are just going to want to stay at home. They want to sit behind the TV. And they
You
just
got
wanna
big
watch
screen
it.
TVs.
And
You
they
got your party.
They've got everything going on right there. And why do I want to drive to a racetrack?
Right.
But I tell you, you got to admit, though, the segments were very, very fun. We got to the end of each segment right there when they got to be those last 10 laps, and they were fighting for those positions.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that I could see that right there because part of the big racetracks, everybody's waiting for the big one.
Yeah.
They're always waiting for that accident.
And it
well, it
happened.
kind of gave it. There was
happened.
more than one. So it gives you a chance to get those accidents showing up that much faster.
Real quick, guys, 909-360-8330. We're not giving out the number enough. If guys like Kenny or any big motorsports fans want to call in, since we gave you the cheap plug, we love you, buddy. Again, that's 909-360-8330. This is KaoticRadio.com, Kaotic Motorsports, with John Whitlow out of Double Nickel Racing, the 951 out of Snore Racing, and what else do you guys run?
That's more.
Pretty much, yeah,
Mojave
exactly.
Off-Road.
And of course, JR Ybarra and KartRacer.tv was soon to be a big announcement, but that's as far as my tease is going to go. You already told me there's
be a slight change coming up.
people are used to you being KartRacer.tv, but you're much more than that.
We're going to expand a little bit this season.
I like that.
You'll see us around different racetracks besides the kart track. We're not giving up on karting, I can tell you that. We'll be at the kart track.
I know you and I are gonna be working together once again. I'm pretty confident on that. It could be with Tri-C. And who knows, someday us three.
Works for me.
So that would be awesome. But so far, so good, guys. What else we got on Daytona 500? We're talking about, the beginning of it, not everybody behaving themselves. You wouldn't get the normal things, the restrictor plate racing. A guy goes down by himself. Logano got hung out to dry a couple times.
And let me just say this. One thing, I'm really actually very happy that Kurt Busch won. I really am.
Yes.
He's a guy. He's had a lot of troubles, some of his own doing over the last few years.
Sure.
And I'm just glad to see that he's kind of maturing as a person and as a driver, and for him to get that win, especially for Tony Stewart's operation, going to Ford, and then making that transition and being able to be successful
Great point.
right at the bat. I'd say kudos to Kurt Busch, man. That was a heck of a race that he did.
Yeah, it was. He pulled an amazing run out of there. And the other thing that I heard some people, we were at a very, very large gathering. We had about 25 or 30 people watching on a couple big screens. And some of the people were saying that they thought that Kurt Busch, and I talked about some big shoes to fill, said that he was like the old number 3 Earnhardt. That they thought that he was turning into be that dynamic of a driver.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I used to follow Kurt Busch quite a bit when he was coming up through the ranks, and I mean, he's an amazing driver.
The Busch brothers came on the scene. Kurt first, of course, out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and I have no problems with them. I agree with you guys. They've taken a lot of hard stuff from the fans over the years, but again,
they both have been kind of the bad boys, but I think that's been good for NASCAR.
Yes, very much
yeah,
so.
they both have kind of turned things around, both personally and on the racetrack, and I think it's beginning to show now in their successes that they're showing up on the.
I really loved everything on Fox Sports 1 leading up to the race with all the old old Daytona 500s, kind of like leading up to the Super Bowl when they show the old Super Bowls, and it's always good to see Cale Yarborough and AJ Foyt going at it out of turn 3. I mean, come on. That's awesome stuff. But how about Michael Waltrip, 30th and final start? He's won twice, finished 8th, and with everything happening at the end, with all the crappy names, or what I thought was crappy names that I drew, I suddenly was in the top 10 and was winning some money. It was an interesting finish. Everybody does the pool and you draw the name out. But Waltrip, what a great career. Love the show they did on him, as well as we can hit on the Jeff Gordon Refuse to Lose was awesome when he stood up to Earnhardt. But Michael Waltrip, I want to hit on real quick while we're talking Daytona 500. The year that he won the second time, and that was the year, I believe, 03, when Earnhardt had the crash at the end. And was it Schrader or Irvin? But he didn't know. He had been 15 minutes up on the podium, and they're starting to drink champagne. And he goes, "Where's my boss? Where's Dale?"
Yeah.
And I think it was Schrader came up and whispered in his ear, "We got issues," and he's in the ambulance, and it's not good. So he imagine going from the highest of highs of winning the Daytona 500 to that. And not only your boss passing away in a racing incident, but it's Dale Earnhart. So,
but it was Dale.
But wow, the way they cover the show, and it's just greatly, they do a great job. It was the people over at Fox Sports 1. You're to be commended on that. Good show.
Yeah, I think overall it was a good broadcast. Again, I think the thing they got to be careful of is the amount of time some of these races take. That's a pretty long amount of time for broadcast.
Oh, it is.
And they were able to fill it in pretty well. And there was a few little hiccups here and there, but I think for the most part it was a decent broadcast. Xfinity,
Bakersfield kart racer.
Ryan Reed.
23 years old. At 19 or maybe younger than that, he was told diabetes. You're most likely not going to race again, and he's won Daytona twice. And that's a shout-out. Bakersfield producing some winners. Harvick, Ryan Reed. That's
Amazing.
Good story there.
Yeah, absolutely amazing man. I actually had a chance to interview him about 3 years ago before he went to Charlotte to get in.
How
full-time
cool
in
is that?
NASCAR. So I had a chance to talk to this kid as he was beginning to emerge, and yeah, he was telling me his story about his obviously his issues with being a diabetic. What's interesting, he actually has a target sewn on his fire suit. So if for some reason his blood sugar changes during the race, he has a designated pit crew member come in and shoot him on that target so he doesn't, essentially pass out and collapse.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'd like to check out that interview.
Yeah.
I know you got that in the,
I do.
the Kart Racer TV
yeah,
archives.
I will have to send you guys a link on that.
Sounds like somebody we need to get on this show.
I'm sure he would do it. In fact, hopefully maybe when they're coming to Fontana in a few weeks, we can get out there and have a chance to have a chat with him. That'd be great.
Yeah, what a cool story. Of course, Roush Fenway Racing, and Kaz Gralla. I mean, what a cool name, taking the truck race.
18 years old.
I mean, the
Yeah.
young guns of the
18 years
sport, John Whitlow.
Isn't that
That's
amazing?
awesome.
I mean, they're so young and they're so after.
It was fun to watch. Fun
You
to watch all
watch,
weekend.
Watch the kart racers that are coming up through there.
Exactly.
And I tell you what, you get the best experience when it comes to karting. We get into that, so we're good.
Exactly.
Other cool things going on. How about the Wood Brothers? I love that 21 car. It never gets old being up front. It just seems like when you're 7 years old again. But Ryan Blaney.
Even Blaney's suit. I don't know if you noticed Ryan Blaney's driver's suit, but it looked like kind of a throwback to what David Pearson used to wear. And I thought that was great.
I love that
man.
car.
I loved it.
I love that
That's
car. I
great.
wanted it to win again because just a few years ago, I think it was 2011 with Trevor Bain.
Exactly.
909-360-8330. We got a couple minutes left up against it before we go to the break and coming back with Scott Daloisio. But John Whitlow putting his hand up like a well-behaved kid in school.
Help me. I got a question for you guys. Did you hear any of the ruckus about Monster taking over this? That the Monster girls were offensive to some people because they were so scantily clad as opposed to the Sprint girls that were always wearing driving suits when they were around all the drivers. Did you guys
Anybody
catch
that's
that?
complaining about any hot-looking girl at a race, I'm sorry. We go back to Umbrella Girls at F1 and IndyCar. I'm sorry. I don't think the Monster Girls are anything that we need to worry about. What we need to worry about is the crappy rap music that people put out nowadays with our young daughters to listen to. The Monster Girls, I don't find
You know,
offensive.
for just real quickly, because I know we're headed break, I think it's great that Monster is involved.
Yes, Monster's
because
going to make it big.
because
They're
Jeez,
gonna
people
make
will
it
complain
big.
about anything.
No, it will, I think, definitely help NASCAR to have Monster involved.
Yeah,
no
it
question
will.
about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks. When you're with Double Nickel Racing, you can't drive 55. And this is John Whitlow and JR Ybarra with Kart Racer TV with yours truly, Chappy. This is Kaotic Motorsports, only on KaoticRadio.com. We're going to let you go take a quick break, grab a cold one, hit the men's room or the ladies' room, and we'll be right back with some more motorsports talk and Scott Daloisio, the voice of Paris
Yes,
Auto
sir.
Speedway.
Looking forward to it.
Don't go away. Oh, you give me like 3 minutes of Sammy Hagar and I get like 30 seconds of Van Halen. Come on, Mike. Jeez. We are unchained.
It's only an hour show, man.
Hey, man, we're going to go for 2 hours because you know who we got next?
We got the big person.
Oh, he's big. He's larger than life. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come back with KaoticRadio.com, this is Kaotic Motorsports. My name's Chappy. We got John Whitlow, Double Nickel Racing in the house.
Hey.
And Ybarra of kartracertv.
Racing, baby.
Hey, how about this, ladies and gentlemen? If you've ever been out to the Pass, then you know what the Pass stands for. Oh, you're going to bring it back? Thank you. Give him a little intro there. Paris Auto Speedway opened up in '96. We got much more to talk about. They got the big opener, the Sokola Shootout, March 4th, USAC and CRA. And ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Ybarra, John Whitlow, and myself going to ask the voice of Paris Auto Speedway, and we appreciate him taking the time to come on. Welcome, Mr. Scott Daloisio. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Scott here.
Hey, Scott. How are you, man?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Scott, before we get into all the details about the season opener for Paris this coming Saturday night, let's talk about Paris Auto Speedway in general. It's now entering its 21st or 22nd season.
Actually, it's the 22nd season. You talk to Don Kazarian about it, and I tease him. It's like we're starting to get close to Ascot territory.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
You know, Ascot was there either 33 or 34 years, and we're up to 22 right now, so...
And with more on the way, what I love the fact that, what was it, just a year or two ago that there was an extension signed by the Kazarians, is that correct?
Yes, Don signed, I can't remember off the top of my head how long it was, but he did sign a contract to keep it going. You know, they are, and I can't know completely all the stats to back this up. I can only think of 2 racetracks in the state who have had a continuous promoter longer than Paris Auto Speedway, and that's the Oxley family at Costa Mesa, who I think they're going into season number 47 or 48 this year.
Right.
And Jim Naylor at Ventura, who has been at it, he's closing in on 40 years.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Scott, you've been there for really most of that 22 years. What do you think has been the main ingredient that has kept this going on for so long when you consider the fact that there's been other unfortunate racetracks that have fallen by the wayside here in Southern California?
You got a promoter who... You know, he's a great businessman. Fortunately, he loves racing. You know, there have been ups and downs over the years, and he has just stuck with it. You know, he's dug his heels in the ground because he loves the sport so much, he just hangs in there with it.
And really the main staple for you guys has been the non-wing sprint cars. I know the schedule has kind of cut back just ever so slightly, but it just seems like that has been one of the main draws for the racetrack over the past 22 years.
Yeah, when you think about it, non-wing sprint car racing has been a tradition in Southern California. You know, actually, I think this is the 71st season for the original, since the original CRA started.
Wow.
And this has always been non-wing country. I mean, the World of Outlaws are coming into our track on April 1st, and they'll pack the house. But this is non-wing sprint car country, and it always has been, going back to the original days of CRA, you know, 71 years ago. It's produced a lot of guys, a lot of excitement. You know, you think of the guys, Jim Hurtubise, Parnelli Jones, all those guys started out here.
Yeah, that's the absolute, I think, amazing thing to think about, that it's created that tradition and it's maintained all this long, and obviously you guys there at the Pass have been part of that instrumental aspect of keeping that alive for such a long time.
Well, you know, and another thing when you say that, we talk about Don Kazarian again, you can look back to the family tradition. His father, he'd been involved with racing and Indy cars. He was a business partner with Val Miletich, who was also partners with Parnelli Jones. And they owned a successful championship sprint car in the late 70s, early 80s with Bubby Jones driving the car.
Right. Now let's talk about this coming Saturday night as the season opener for you guys, and thankfully we're not looking at any kind of rainfall to curtail that, which is thankful because we've had so much water over here over the past few weekends. Tell us about this coming weekend with the Sokola Shootout.
Sokola Shootout, it honors Gary Sokola, who was a winning car owner in the original CRA, and his son Mark, who also raced. It honors them. It's the annual traditional opener at Paris Auto Speedway, and we're going to have the Amsoil USAC CRA sprint cars out there, which is the number 2 ranked traditional sprint car organization in the country, or club, whichever way you want to look at that. When I say traditional sprint car, I mean one without wings. The only series that's better when it comes to traditional sprint cars, or bigger, is the USAC National Series. It primarily runs out of the state of Indiana. And it'll actually visit us at the end of, actually the start of November this year when we run the Oval Nationals.
Right.
We also have what's called the Young Gun Sprint Cars. That's for drivers 14 to 25 who have no prior sprint car experience. And then we have the class for guys like you and me, 40 and over. That's the senior sprint car class.
I'm actually tempted to do that maybe one time. That's kind of on the bucket list for me.
Hey Scott, do you have an open face helmet and a cordless mic for me and JR?
Yeah, there's an actual sprint car that's for rent this weekend to run in either the seniors or the young guns.
Oh,
We got to stop talking about it.
Man.
Who do we think we are, announcers? Hey, Scott, Chappy here, just to butt in real quick. And I know John Whitlow with Double Nickel Racing off-road driver and announcer also would like to pick your brain a little bit. How'd you get started? How do you get the gig at Paris?
Well, actually, I started in motorsport. I was brought up around auto racing from the day I was born. And I was a photographer and a journalist, and I did that I started in about 77. I moved to California in 74 right after I got out of high school in Michigan. And I always had an interest in photography, and as a kid, my parents would let me use their Instamatic, and then they bought me a Polaroid. Then I, moved up and got some nice equipment about 77. And did that, got involved heavily with speedway motorcycle racing, which to this day, the European version is still my favorite motorsport. And got to travel to Europe and shot a lot of stuff, worked for a lot of magazines. And back in 1988, I was going through Pasadena. A friend of mine owned a company called Revs Video, Howie Zeckner. And I was going through Pasadena one night and said, well, let's stop by and have dinner with him. And while I was there, he said, another guy who's now the voice of Costa Mesa Speedway, Terry Clant, was supposed to do a voiceover for him on some ice racing videos he shot. We went out to dinner. We're waiting for Terry, and Terry didn't show up. And Howie goes, dude, you got to help me out and do these videos. And I never did that. And they sounded horrible, too. I did them, and they sounded bad. But I was about 2 months later laying on a couch one Saturday night watching arena football. That's how bored I was.
Wow, that's boring.
I get a call from the promoter out at Glen Helen, who I worked his speedway shows for, and he's going, what are you doing? I go, I'm watching football. And he goes, you want to make a couple $100? And I'm like, well, of course, that's, dumb question. And he goes, get here right now. Our announcer didn't show up, and he had seen the videos. And I go, okay, well, I'll get cleaned up. He goes, no, you got to get here now. We start at 6:30. Well, it was about 5:50, and I live in Chino, and I was out to Glen Helen, so I made a mad dash out there. And at the end of the night, he came back, and he offered me the job doing it regular, and just went on from there. Not a lot of work for the first few years, and then I did Paris Speedway, which is actually where I work now, totally different facility, but on the same ground. Actually, literally on the same ground.
Is that for my buddy Mike Nye over there?
What's that?
For Mike Nye over there? You're doing some stuff for Mike Nye. I know that, right?
Yeah, I do some Mike Nye stuff, do their PR, still write all their press releases.
Yeah, you did the banquet. You did the awards banquet for him. He's a great guy. Right. He's a great promoter.
He's a super nice guy. You can't find people much nicer than him. And then, we opened in 96, and I was the backup tower announcer and part-time infield announcer, and did that for 3 years at Paris. And in 99, actually it was late 98, right after Christmas, I got a call from Bruce Flanders one day. He goes, you got offered the job at Irwindale, and I recommended you to Paris.
Nice.
And about 10 minutes later, the promoter called and went in and had a meeting with him and got the job a couple days later.
That's such a great story, and as I still call myself an aspiring announcer. I got the Traxxas monster truck gig this year, but done a lot of go-karting and flat track motorcycles and just about anything, demolition derby. And, we've had Larry Huffman, who's probably my favorite of all time. Of course, you mentioned a guy like Flanders. I mean, a legend. You grew up with guys like that. And I've asked him advice. Ralph Shaheen, the voice of Supercross NASCAR back in the day. And I asked him advice, and I'd like to ask you the same question. Larry said things to me like, just remember the 2 E's, educate them and energize them. To this day, I'll remember that, and you can't go wrong with things like that if you're an announcer. Also being positive. Me and JR, I thought working together, we're great at that. And Ralph Shaheen said something interesting to me. He goes, keep on your toes. I go, well, how do I do that? I try to announce all the gigs I can. He says, well, I went and did a fashion show last week, and I've never done a fashion show. I'm like, geez, man, that's staying on my toes. How am I going to do that? But do you have any advice to, I know John Whitlow here, racers, but we also get behind the microphone. Would you have any advice for us?
I always tell people, just be yourself. Be a fan. You're a fan with a microphone. Don't be phony. And remember who the stars of the show are.
True.
And that's the racers. You know, get as much information as you can about the racers. And one thing I always learned from I went to the races from the time when I was 6 months old, and it was a lot of time as I got older, it was me, my mom, and my dad. You know, my dad and I go home and talk about the races. You know, my mom would be saying, well, you know, did you see that guy's wife in the stands and his kids? He's got cute kids. Are you there?
Oh, we're all here. We're listening to you, man.
Okay. I got an incoming call. No worries.
Okay.
You're a popular guy tonight.
The fans are calling you, man.
It's probably a bill collector. But my mom would always go home and talk about other stuff besides the races. And I've never forgot once I started is for every guy there, you know, he may have his girlfriend or his wife who doesn't give a rat's butt really about what a chassis of a car is. You know, especially when you're in sprint cars, it makes no sense to anybody.
Right.
But they're interested in hearing more of the family side, the human side, not just, you know, the gearhead stuff. So I always tried to do that to try to keep their interest up.
I think that's a great idea. Kind of like a Vin Scully type of thing where Vin Scully was original on how, not motorsports obviously, but obviously announced plenty of different events in sports, but would give you something that you wouldn't really expect to hear, maybe something on his personal side. Not about the chassis or the bat or the cleats he's wearing or the motor size or any of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not everybody in the grandstands is a motorhead,
Right.
but everybody's there to be entertained.
Right.
And like I say, they're there to be entertained. They're there to be entertained by the racers. And I've got a lot of my fellow announcers pissed them off at times and said, hey, you know, if you think you're part of the show, let me tell you what you do. It's like you announce at your next race that the following week the racers are going to be there, but you are not. All those people in the crowd are going to come back to watch the races.
Mm-hmm.
Or you announce the racers aren't going to be here, but I'm going to be here announcing. You're going to be there by yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hitting right back up before I know JR's got more for you, and we got plenty of time, so it's all yours. Tell us a little bit more about Paris and how much people can spend. It's a great deal for the family. We can head on out at Southern California. It's a great place. You can get there early. Little tailgating. They got great snack bars there, and I believe you can even hit on in on the pits there and see the guys down on the infield with a different price of the ticket, correct?
Well, for a normal race, if you want to go down the infield, you have to buy a pit pass, which is separate. For the World of Outlaws coming April 1st, it's a good deal for fans who want to be in the pits during the races. If they buy an advance ticket if they buy a ticket in advance, they're going to get a free fan pit pass.
Which I have done the last couple of years, and it has been a great purchase, I can tell you that, because you literally are right there with all the World of Outlaw teams, and it is a fabulous value. You get a seat, obviously, but if you want to venture down to the pits in between heat races and see what's going on, it is the best thing to do when the Outlaws come into town.
And the Outlaws are very nice about them. They let you talk to them and you ask them questions about the cars. And it's amazing. It's really, really nice.
And they pit outside turn 2, so people who've been to Paris, they don't understand that you're not going to be walking in the dirt during the races.
Right.
They're actually in a paved parking lot outside the racetrack, so you can get up to them. You're not going to get dirty. And it's a cold pit, so you don't have to worry about getting run over by a car speeding through the pit area.
But the cool thing, Scotty, is they get to hear you, not that, you know, you're part of the show, but you are part of the show, darn it. And the announcer is, and I'm going to stick up for the announcers, but of course they're going there for the racing, but the whole venue, it's safe to go to. It's in a good area. It's relatively close to major freeways. Southern California staple since '96. I mean, it's the pass. If you haven't been there for some good racing, and we haven't even mentioned that yet, I mean, usually every race comes down to white flag lap and 3-4 cars going at it for the checkered.
Yeah, that's the way we have it planned out. It's scripted. Well, by the way, I heard you guys talking.
That's all you're announcing.
I heard you guys talking earlier on the show about the segments. with NASCAR, and we saw that, you know, going on for the 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We are having segments in our main event starting this Saturday night.
So
the first segment's called the green flag, and the second segment is called the checkered flag.
John Whitlow, do you care to elaborate on this?
I'm right there with you, boss.
I think you have a lot of fans on that one, Scott.
That is the best way to run a race.
We have two segments.
Green flag, and you got a checkered flag.
Scott, tell us.
I like it.
Scott, tell us the particulars for Saturday. What time do gates open? What's the cost of a general admission, and such and so forth?
Gates are going to open at 5 o'clock. Racing's going to start at 7. Tickets are $25 for adults. Seniors 65 and older get in for $20. If you're active military member, kids 13 to 18 with their school ID, and kids 6 to 12, it's $5. Children 5 and under are free. If you park on the fairgrounds, and the only way not to park on the fairgrounds is really you have to carpool in with somebody. Fairgrounds does charge $8 to park. You can come in early at 1 o'clock. We'll have there'll be tailgating going on in the parking lot. A lot of fans like to do that. If you want to camp, you can come in, start Friday at noon on Friday. Come and camp out. It's outside turn number 4. It's $25 a night to camp. You can stay there till Sunday. And like I said, there'll be 3 different divisions of cars out there. Looks like a good time, and best of all, it ain't raining.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to get some good weather out there, Scott. I'll be out there in Lake Charles, Louisiana, calling the tracks as monster trucks, but we'll be thinking about you. Can we call you back and have you maybe me and JR were talking about having you give us a little input to pump up Paris and pump up the sport of dirt track racing, and have you call in, maybe give us some input in the future and let us know what's going on at the track. And, of course, we'd always like
breaking
some
up
good
on me
tickets.
right there, but sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'd love to come down there and get some chaotic tickets, come hang out with you and check out the
Breaking
racing.
up really bad.
All right, well, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it was Scott Daloisio. You got anything for him?
Scott, thanks a lot. We look forward to seeing you guys at Paris sometime this season. I know I'll be out there enjoying all the dirt racing that takes place, because there's some great stuff happening at that racetrack.
Always a great time out there at Paris. You guys can't. For the money, it's great.
Thanks a lot, Scotty, for taking the time, and have a great call Saturday night, and let's have a good, safe, fast race.
Thank you, Scott.
I can hear you again now. You're going to Louisiana. You're going to love the food.
Oh, beautiful. What do you suggest? Some alligator tail, or what? Just get some sort of tail?
Well, I ain't going to say that because I don't want to get killed. But
it's
I've had alligator.
It's a .com
I've
station.
had alligator. It's good.
Okay.
It's crawfish.
Hey, thanks, buddy, and have a good call. And we look forward to talking to you in the future and heading out and hanging out with you and Kaotic Motorsports, helping out with Paris. And we'll pump you guys up anytime to promote the track, right, JR?
Absolutely. We definitely want to see Scott back on the show once again.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Later.
Thanks,
All right.
Scott.
Great job, JR. First time out and just showing your worth. I mean, you pulled off Scott Daloisio. I mean, great guy.
I've been around Paris for quite a while. In fact, I just to give you a little history, I was there for opening night in '96. I mean, it was like a magical night. There was literally a turning around crowd of probably a few thousand people who were not able to get into the gates that night because
Incredible.
of so much enthusiasm to get into that racetrack. And just like we were talking about earlier, I just think it's been great that track has lasted all these years. I mean, we've seen so many unfortunate stories of short tracks going by
closing.
the wayside, and Paris has survived all this time.
Yeah, they're always really, really. I mean, the amount of racing that goes on out there, and it's in the other thing is the food venues out there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you cannot go hungry in that
Great
place.
variety too.
Oh, everything in the world.
John Whitlow will go right to the food after he gets off the podium, after he gets off that double nickel podium. Hey, we got another phone call. Who do we got? What's your name? This is Kaotic Motorsports, KaoticRadio.com.
Chappy.
How you doing, man? It sounds like I know you.
Hey, it's Ken.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Thanks for the cheap, shameless plug, man.
Hey, no problem. Go ahead. It's your microphone right now. What's the name of your pool company? And throw out the phone number.
It's Testana Pools in Tustin. 714-544-2775. We got everything for your pool and spa except the water.
Now, can the single divorced ladies have you come over as the pool boy, or is that an added expense?
Oh, I can send him Fabio. I've got Fabio working for me.
Hey, I got your driver in here. Let's talk about your race up there.
Hey, we had a good time. Yeah, we had a great race. It was fun. I got the call to get in the car with him because his wife was having a back issue, and as we were pulling off the start line, she says, "Be sure and push him, make him go fast." I got him up to 60 miles an hour going over the dike jump at Prim, and I think we had a little tailwind to get it going that fast. But we got a little air. It was fun.
That's faster than he goes into Little Monza at Adams.
Adams, yes, sir, yeah.
He still has scary issues over that one.
Yeah. I got to tell you though, man, Kenny was great, because normally my wife rides with me, and sometimes I think I'm a little apprehensive with her being in the car. But when I had Kenny with me, he says, "Go get that guy, come on, get on." I mean, and he did. He pushed me, and it doesn't sound that great, but we finished 8th that day. And the nice part about it was it's been 5 years since we've seen a checkered flag at that racetrack.
Oh, nice.
And
that's pretty cool.
And we finally got checkered flag both days.
And we didn't wad up the car either.
And
we put the car in the trailer.
Yeah, unlike my co-driver that drove the car and put it on its side more than once. But other than that,
that's huge when you have a good day and don't have parts.
Yeah, the nice part about it was, seriously, what we did was we went out and ran all day Saturday, pulled the car off the track, put gas in it, wiped it down, did a nut and bolt prep on it just to make sure everything was good, put it in the trailer, got up Sunday morning, put it back on track, boom, ran another set of laps, put it in the trailer, washed it, brought it home. That's the way you want to go racing.
That is a good weekend of racing.
Yeah. So are we going to see more of this new dream team here, or is Kim back in the seat?
We'll share.
Hey, I'll anytime I get the call, man.
Okay, Kenny's ready.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
And he's great. I mean, even on some of the longer races, he and his wife Yolanda will drive and co-drive our car together with us. I mean, so Kim and I will run a set of laps, and they'll get out and run a set of laps as well. So it's really, really nice. I mean, like I said before, Double Nickel Racing, man, we're not a race team. We're family.
Boy,
they called me to co-drive with them when they had the 7S truck, and I didn't know much about it and everything, and I've been rock crawling since, for 20 years probably. And they said, "You know the desert better than anybody." And I said, "Yeah, I know it one rock at a time, not ballistic with my hair on fire." But the first time I got in the 7S truck in the right seat was the Mint 400. Never been in the car before. Mint 400. If it would have been the Mint 35, we would have won our class. But
how many guys have done that in a race? Yeah. Hey, man, thanks. I know we'll talk to you soon. We're up against it. We still got Supercross NHRA up. Thanks, Kenny, co-driver for Double Nickel. Thanks, buddy.
Kenny,
we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Don. Talk to you soon.
We'll see you back in paradise in the bubble. Boy, I'm giving Canyon Lake some shout-outs tonight.
Yes,
the POA should maybe pay my rent or something, but I don't think that's going to happen. Hey, guys, real quick, we check out. I'm going to go to My Love NHRA, and we can cover some Supercross. Michael let us run a little overboard if we have to. But Pritchett and Hagen in Top Fuel and Funny Car are now undefeated on the season. All-female final in Top Fuel. And all Don Schumacher Racing as Leah Pritchett and that Domino's or the Papa John's car delivers over Brittany Force and Matt Hagen over Ron Capps. Their teammates, Don Schumacher Racing, is dominating. Greg Anderson won Pro Stock over Drew Skillman. And the Gator Nationals are coming up next March 16th and 19th. And I'd like to give a little shout out to my buddy Sean Reed, boat drag racer, making the move over to asphalt and going to the semis. So congratulations to Sean Reed, NHRA Arizona Nationals.
It's impressive to see what Leah Pritchett has done over the past couple of races.
Yes.
And it's a shame to me that that's not a bigger story. I mean, here you have a young lady leading points in Top Fuel, and that should be just like an earth-shattering story. It's like, why isn't the world of motorsports taking notice of that? What other motorsports do you see a young lady leading points and possibly getting a world championship?
Well, we've talked about it on this show. The ladies have been dominating all three pro classes, and not only dominating, but really several, not just one like it used to be.
Yeah.
And NHRA is awesome.
It has
a lot of the issues are with Fox Sports 1 and with the big changeover.
If I can get on a little racing rant, I know we're running out of
time.
Go
for it. We're good.
I really have such issues with the pro stock category. I just think it's just not appealing to me at all. There's nothing stock about pro stock like it used to be, and I think NHRA needs to trash it and change it. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I love the nitro part, but pro stock just kills me. I literally turn off to another channel when Pro Stock comes on.
Well, and if you're in the grandstands at Pomona, that's usually when everybody walks out to go cruise the pits. And unfortunately, they do need to change that. And they're trying different things. Pro Mod, there's the Top Harleys, Top Fuel Harleys. Supercross, guys, we're up against it. Anybody see it? I know you're a big Supercross fan, John Whitlow.
Yes, sir. You
450s, your man Dungy.
Dungy, I tell you, man, I'm not sure he's going to have it this year. He looked like he was out running around pretty good, but did you see who came up from way back in the field?
My guy.
Tomac, man. Tomac came in really, really strong, and he was gaining a second a lap towards the end of the race right there. If they'd have had a couple more laps, I think Tomac would have got him.
It's about a 30-point lead right now. His teammate, Muscan, is in second. You think Tomac can win this championship? Is that what you're saying right now?
I'm thinking he's got a chance this year. He's really, really on fire. My buddy Anderson's not doing me a whole lot of love out there on his, his Husky.
He's top 5 in points, 121 behind the 174 Dungy. Dungy's just Mr. Consistency in Supercross, but does Supercross need to go to a chase, John Whitlow? I mean, it's the only motorsports now that comes down to where a champion, like the old days, can win it with like 3 races to go. He's already the champion.
That's a great question. I think I like the format the way it is.
I love the way it is right now.
I think it's
to me, it's you race all year long and you race for your points. In the series that we run in off-road, there is no segments. There are no little chase points here or there. You run all year long. You get points for finishing every race, for finishing every lap, for finishing every single dealer.
Wait a second. You don't pull over by the third Joshua tree on the left with shoes hanging off of it to barbecue some chicken wings and then resume racing?
This isn't Lucas Oil where you run 4 laps and pull over and stop and go, I'm going to have a soda and then get back out.
This whole segment thing.
I think with Supercross is, there's so many variables where you can crash.
Yes.
A lot easier in comparison to other motorsports.
Yes, exactly.
So that can change your whole night. It can change your whole point setup immediately.
Yeah. I mean, look like Honda. Their dreams going by the wayside when, what's his name, fell and compound fractured it. Oh, but anyways, we'll see. We'll keep an eyeball on Tomac.
So they're coming. That was round 8, the final round at Atlanta after over 20 years, I believe, at Atlanta, the Georgia Dome.
Yeah.
So they're done, and next they go north of the border, Toronto, for round 9 this weekend. Other races coming up this weekend, Mint 400.
Mint 400, yes, sir. The Great American Off-Road Race.
If you win that one, I mean, you can pretty much inks your career.
Big feather in your cap.
Nice feather in the cap, absolutely.
Yes. And the other thing that they're doing now that they did not do in the past is they're running it in 2 different groups. So they're running the smaller classes in the faster classes later.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say segments again.
No. But the nice part about it is, though, is if you're an off-road racer like me that's running a limited class or 11 car like a stock Volkswagen Bug or something along those lines, a UTV, you don't have a 140-mile-an-hour trophy truck coming up on you on a lake bed when your top speed's only 65 miles an hour. And not only did they come on you quickly, when they go by you, they create so much dust that literally you can't see for 10, 15, 20 seconds. So that's really, really good. And that's the way Mint's running it now. And I'll tell you what, the festivities, though, if you can ever go, it's just, I mean,
all the extra stuff going on.
It starts tomorrow, and Fremont Street is just worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, and you guys do it right. You bring the trailer up there and hang out with your race family, like you said.
Yeah, when we were running the 7S truck up there, we had them come up and wrap our truck during tech and contingency on the strip, and it's really worth it. So I know we got a roller. So
Good Vibrations, Bakersfield March Meet. One of these years we're going to make it up there, JR. I think as long as I've known you, I've talked about going up there.
It's been a couple of years since I've been up there, but man, it is worth it.
My buddy Jason Rupert is the 1-to-1 favorite by the Gypsy prognosticator to win the championship. Of course, he's a 6-time champion in this nostalgia funny car. So if you've never been to that, that's where it all started, NHRA.
That is such a great. It's a festival, just like you're describing. With
Nitro, you can go up to all your racers. Ron Capps, some guys off the Pro Tour will be there off NHRA.
A lot of big show guys will be there this weekend.
Yeah, driving extra cars, and it's cool. They got the nostalgia cars, so you'll see like a '68 Camaro up against something. But good luck to my buddy Jason Rupert, Chaotic Karma, all to you. Tri-C Carters, you're going to be filling in on the mic for me. I'll be doing monster trucks in Louisiana.
Yeah, and I'll be filling in for you in Fontana.
Do you want me to bring you home a duck call, and do you want a camouflage hat, and you want the camouflage jacket?
There you go.
I'll be in Duck Dynasty.
I want some alligator tail.
Hey, you got some big schmo for me? Oh, hopefully I'll get some tail in Louisiana. That'd be great. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is KaoticRadio.com. Listen to all the shows on KaoticRadio.com. This is Kaotic Motorsports. Had a good time tonight with John Whitlow, driver of the 951 Double Nickel.
Thank you, sir.
And we
Great
can
time.
find you at what future races?
The next race we're going to run is going to be down in, up in Laughlin. And that's going
Okay.
to be in December, so.
And so we got time, and you'll come back on the show or call in.
Oh, heavens,
And, of
yes.
course, Kart Racer TV, we'll have a big announcement coming up.
Was hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have an announcement as to what we're doing from a TV standpoint this year.
All right. And for our buddy Willie Axton, who's playing volleyball for the Junior Olympic
Go get him,
volleyball
Willie.
team, and good luck to Willie tonight. And my daughter, Tessa, who is tearing it up with the same team over there at Newport Harbor on the lacrosse.
Alumni.
A little alumni for John Whitlow. And hello to you too, Taylor. I know I'll get in trouble. I love you girls. And for Kim Whitlow for being so nice and putting up with us tonight. And our engineer, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mikey.
Hey, Mike, you know when you pick up that girl, nobody rides for free.
That's the truth.
Hey, everybody, this is KaoticRadio.com, Kaotic Motorsports. JR, take us out.
See you next time, folks.
So before we get going, baby,